I'm from Kentucky. In Kentucky, I live in a county called Moorhead. And they got them long guns. And if they don't know you, and you come up to holler, you know, we only got enough to last us to get through the winter. We keep ours in jars, you dig what I'm saying? We raise ours in hogs and cows. Ain't got no money. Don't need no money. But I can get through this winter, you dig what I'm saying? Kick back. And each summer I get up and I worry about getting through the next winter. You dig? That winter was lost 40 years ago. And I'm the child of Uncle Jess that sent me rolling out of them hills of Kentucky. You dig what I'm saying? To save his cabin, to save his earth, to save his planet. Because he stood there and blew himself up when fucking assholes like this come in and want to take your steel away and shit. He blew himself up, he blew his kids up, he blew everything up. Hound dog up, chickens up, he blew the whole thing up. But when he blew that up, he went into the same eternal dream. You dig what I'm saying? The same eternal dream that I've been in jail. You can't fake on me. You dig? Because I was your children. You can't fake on me. I was your children of the 40s. Eleanor Roosevelt can't fake on me. Yeah, that's what raised me. I'm a child of my time. You know, you're a child of your time. I'm locked in the Second World War. All your brothers run in Vietnam War. Well, your brothers are like my little kids. I was brotherhood to the Korean War. And my father was the Second World War. I'll put it to you this way. When I was a little kid in the streets, I was smoking grass. And there wasn't but a few people smoking grass. I come to jail as a beatnik. I don't know whether you remember beatniks. But what your hippies were of the 60s were what we were of the 50s. It's like a long time ago, back in the 50s when I was in reform school. And I would get in a fight or I'd get in an argument and I'd be down in solitary confinement. And they'd have me down in solitary confinement. I'd just go dun 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 dun. I turned everything off a long time ago. Back in Virginia when I was about 17. You don't mind if I don't sit down, do you? This is the only chance I get to come around unhandcuffed.
For over 40 years, Manson has survived most of his life in what he calls the hallways of the always, the reform schools, jails, and prisons that have been his home and his tomb. His thought was born in the darkness of the hole of solitary confinement, apart from time, beyond the pale of society. In his cell, he created his own world and speaks his own language, where he has discovered that there is only the mind.
Right wherever I am. Because I don't really move. If I'm here, I'm here. If I move over here, I'm still here. If I move over there, I'm still there. In other words, wherever I go, I'm still there. I call it Pice. Pice, I'm from Pice. I'm a lichen. We're lichens.
You want to explain the lichen?
Well, I like you, you know. You look all right to me. You dig what I'm saying? So I accept you as a lichen. So when I accept you as a lichen, you're like kin to me. Because I never had a family, see? So you're like my kin. You're like kin to me. You know, and I accept you completely, totally into that. All the way through your mother's relationships and your father's relationships, all the little relationships that you guys have. I didn't have that because I was over here in reform school, boys' school. I had the relationship of the guys over here in boys' school, over on the basketball court. The basketball court is my kingdom. Always has been. Because I rule it from solitary confinement.
Do you think that's your destiny, not to?
No, it ain't destiny. It's just me staying alive. It's my life. In other words, we all do what we have to do to survive, right? Well, you know, you put a child down here, now I've survived this long. You know, I'm over 40 years in prison. I've survived. And I've survived it.
Manson claims that the so-called straight world outside of prison is but an inverted reflection of the underworld in which he has lived. To him, the reality that presidents and law-abiding citizens accept begins in the hermetic, alternate universe of criminals, cons, and outlaws.
But Elvis Presley was only the shadow that was playing up over somebody that was dying in a hole down in Brushy Mountain, Tennessee. Or someone that was over in the solitary confinement you see what I'm saying? In other words, the real Humphrey Bogart and the real James Cagney are actors. I mean, the ones you know. The real ones, they died in here. You know, in other words, we die so that you guys can play actors. In other words, we got to be the bad guys so you guys can be the good guys, you dig? But in reality, we know that you're not the good guys, that you guys are worse than we are. You dig what I'm saying? Which is acceptable because we're outlaws. I'm a reflection of, you take a little baby and you put him in the penitentiary and you raise him up. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. I'm Richard Milhouse Nixon. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm him down here under the ground, man. I've had to do all the fighting while he gets up there and takes all the bows, dig? I got to carry the motherfucker while this fat sack of shit won't let me call my old lady. While his old lady tells him, shut up. We started a rebirth movement. We started the rebirth movement that Carter stole. See, you guys outside don't realize everything we do in here, they'll play off and tell you that that's them. If I dig a foundation for a house, somebody else will stand up and say, yes, this is my foundation here, and I've, in other words, in the United States, when you're running the United States, you ain't running in nothing but con, nothing but bullshit, and nothing but devil. You're running in nothing but demon. The United States of America is the demon of the world.
Manson seems locked in a perpetual love-hate struggle with his keepers, cursing them and forgiving them in the same breath.
And I stand back and give other people their space. You see what I'm saying? But if they don't give me respect, I'm sending all that back around. I'm sending it all back around. You see what I'm saying? Because I live in my mind.
Do you think your mind has power in the world?
Oh, I would imagine, yes.
Even though you're here?
Yes. Yeah, the last wave of these guys, that sent me to Vacaville are all gone now. Dr. Morgan blew his brains out. We can't get into any music because we're in what I'm locked into is a soulless little jealous punk. Probably all kinds of ways we could do it. Yeah, I know. I was thinking, let me use that trash can down there, unless you want to pass a rule against that. Everything I do, they make a rule against it, see? If I wanted a bucket of shit, they'd tell me no, you can't have, then pass a rule, send no buckets of shit. And no matter what I want to do, they want to keep me from doing it. No matter what I want, they don't like it. In other words, if I got it. I'm very capable and I'm unhandcuffed. Oh, we got a different game. And these people that cut my mail off, let me tell you what they do to me. They cut my mail off. You can give this to the next wave of little kids that you grow up to. They cut my mail off. They lie. They cheat. They got some big old fat women that paint their faces and shit and dye their hair. And they cut the legs off the table so little girls can't get over and play with the little guys. And they got all kinds of little sex paranoias and little deceiving, little lying, cheating little things that they play. And then they'll push them off on somebody else and say it's all their fault, that they're no good and we got the bad guys locked up over here and we're all the good guys. You dig what I'm saying? When in reality, man, you got a bunch of scurvy fucking PC motherfucking pieces of shit. You dig what I'm saying? But that's on one hand. Here's where Abaraxis comes in. If they didn't have the love to do it, who in the fuck would?
Manson invokes the ancient god of the Gnostic pantheon, Abaraxis, or Abraxas, a symbol of the eternal now, a state of mind that exists beyond the false dichotomies of light and darkness, good and evil, right and wrong. Manson justifies his forgiveness of his captors in the name of Abraxas, a god that represents total reality.
I respect that same fucking asshole that I'm down on every day. That's Abaraxis, man. We roll on it. We've been rolling on it ever since he come on the tier. He comes on the tier and says, fuck you, you son of a bitch. throws shit and piss in his face. You dig what I'm saying? Knock him down. And he comes back and feeds me with it. And lets me live. And when he lets me live, then I look back at him and I say, well, you're not so bad after all if you let me live. So now I have to let you live. So as long as I'm in here, I gotta let him live. Because we're living in my life.
Clang, bang, clang, went the big iron door. They put me in a cell with a concrete floor. 9 other men in that cell with me, moaning their fate with destiny. Clang, bang, clang, clang, bang, clang.
How do you think you survived so well in this situation?
Because I'm very adept. I can adapt to just about anything, man. In other words, I stay right here all the time. I've been here right here all the time all my life. So it's no new thing to me. So when you go out in the prison yard, you got to be up on everything that happens around you. You can't let anything get in. I'm letting you get into me now. You know that, don't you? The spirit is there. And we could bring the spirit back to life, but for people like this. You dig what I'm saying? He hates white people. He's scared to death of this black guy. He's afraid this black guy's going to beat him up. The black guy ain't thinking about it. The only reason he's scared of the black guy is because he's messed over the black guy so bad. You dig what I'm saying? He's got all that back. So what he'll do is feed me back to this dude. You dig what I'm saying? And say, well, here, don't hit me, but jump on him. And then he'll hold me in the point and stand me out here in front of all these black people, you dig? And then push me down in there and try to get me hurt, try to get me killed in every way they can. And then when they can't, then they say, oh, wow, man. Then they want to wear boots and wonder about, I'm going to catch up with you. I'll bet you I catch up with you. I'll bet you I catch up with you, buddy. I'll bet you I'll make you be what you are. Or I'll skin your fucking ass. I'll hang you on trees. I'll do every fucking thing I can do to do just exactly what I got to do to survive, man. I've been in jail since 1943. I've been locked up all my life. I've been locked up all my life. So I'm in that dream. I am not that dream. Don't get me. I am not that dream. I'm only a witness. One little witness. One little fucking little piece of shit in that dream. There's all kinds of people in that dream that are already all down the road,
According to 1961 prison records, he killed the time he was serving for various charges of pimping, forging checks, and petty theft by studying various systems of personal development, ranging from Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People to L. Ron Hubbard's Scientology. On the vernal equinox of 1967, March 21st, at 8:15 a.m., the 32-year-old prisoner, number B33920, was released from Terminal Island Prison, requesting permission to travel to San Francisco.
I am a mechanical man. A mechanical man, and I do the best I can because I have my family.
When Manson arrived in San Francisco in 1967, he drifted into the anti-culture that the media was already calling hippie. He began to attract a following, mostly of young women who were drawn to his music and his philosophy.
There's a bunch of broads that follow me around, but there's always broads following me around. Then when I got back out, the hippie was a takeoff on the beatnik, as the beatnik was a takeoff on the bohemian, or the bohemian was a takeoff on the boobskaboo. In other words, just loop-de-loops and circles that come in and out of these places.
The idea of Manson as the ultimate hippie and the family as an example of hippiedom's ultimate folly has been ingrained into the public mind with all the other simplifications that have so far served as truth. In fact, as Manson has pointed out, he was a child of the 30s, not the 60s, and the family ideology had very little to do with the ideas of passivity and racial and sexual equality characteristic of the 60s. When black militancy and civil rights were at their height, Manson insisted that his family retain their cultural and genetic heritage. When the feminists were burning their first bras, Manson taught his family to look to nature for an understanding of the balance between male and female, initiating them into the joys of complete submission.
Feminism?
Matriarchy versus patriarchy.
Oh, I'm a matriarch. I'm a beautiful woman. I'm a very beautiful woman. All my women know that. All my women know that.
Do you have any good memories about the people who were your
Oh, all of them. Sure. They're all beautiful.
Lynette Squeaky Fromm, one of the first to join Manson, once wrote,
Born into this imbalanced world of women's law in 1967, carrying truth over the threshold, he met thousands of young in the streets. I was one of them. He stood our words up in truth. He never broke our wills. We put up our lives and the symbol of one finger as alternative to anarchy.
In the family hierarchy, each woman is a member of the Order of the Rainbow, each with a corresponding color. Lynette Fromm's color in the rainbow is red. Fromm, who was imprisoned in 1975 for the attempted assassination of President Gerald Ford, remains loyal to Manson and his cause.
She better be right on. She knows what she's got to do, see? She knows what she's got to do to survive on this planet Earth, just like all the people that are with me do. The ones that are with me do. The ones that are not with me are not with themselves. Squeaky, the one that's down there doing life trying to get me out of jail.
When Fromm escaped from prison for 2 days on Christmas Eve of 1987, a wave of paranoia swept across the nation that had not been seen since 1969. That one woman could inspire such fear is a sign of how powerful the Manson myth has become. In contrast to Fromm's loyalty, Charles Tex Watson, the principal murderer in the Tate LaBianca case, explains his family days with the convenient excuse of diabolical possession. Now Tex atones for his sins as a model born-again Christian prisoner in San Luis Obispo prison, where he serves as a prison chaplain, delivering sermons to the unsaved. In 1979, Watson was married in prison to another born-again Christian who has since given birth to his children, the fruit of what one imagines to be wholesome Christian procreation during conjugal visits to the prison. Manson regards Watson's new persona with bemusement.
Tex is beautiful. Tex got off of his, Tex got up and gave his in. He was trying to walk around and say, "Did you get your pimp? Food?" And he was there for a while. And we were learning new things. And we were experiencing our bodies and stuff. You dig? But then he decided that he wanted to go back into what his mother was doing. And I looked over at him and I said, well, if you can get anything new over in there, you dig what I'm saying? Go ahead and see what you can find out, but I'll tell you everything on this finger that's over there. Save you a long trip. But he wants to go back through Jesus Loves Me. You dig what I'm saying? He wants to go back and worship and play all the games that we played for 2,000 years. And if that's what he wants to do, it's okay with me. I'm still right there saying, all right, man. If that's what you want to do, but you're only destroying yourselves, man.
Always forever. Islam. Silence yourself for your father. Just one. And it's so fragile behind you. Illusion has been disappeared. Valley of death and I'll find you. Now it's when on the sunshine beams. So bring on the young perfection. For there will surely be no cold and fear no hunger. You can't see.
The ghosts of the family still haunt the locales where they once lived. In 1968, Manson persuaded the octogenarian George Spahn to allow the family to live on the ramshackle movie set, the Spahn Ranch, in Chatsworth, California. It had appeared in countless old cowboy films as the archetypal Western town. Here the family engaged in an ongoing psychodrama, changing their names and personalities, immersed in their own dimension of make-believe, with Manson serving as director. They lived inside the facades of the crumbling sets, tending the horses on the ranch and living off of food thrown away in supermarket garbage bins. Now, 20 years later, only a field of overgrown weeds stands on the site. The Spahn Ranch was burned down in a fire that destroyed every last trace. Here in this creek bed at the side of the hills leading into the Santa Susana Mountains, the family would gather in these shaded coves to listen to Charlie's music and practice their marksmanship. Devil's Canyon, directly across from the Spahn Ranch, inspired one of Manson's songs. The pass where the devil you can see. Santa Susana is the pass where you look for me.
I live on my planet, my world, my desert, my thought. It took me 22 years to get through these fucking hallways. This is what I'm mad about, to land my thought down on that desert.
On Halloween of 1968, Manson decided to move his tribe away from the nearby urban decay of Los Angeles and into the wilderness of the desert, where he imagined they would find the complete freedom they sought. That Halloween night, Manson and a few others camped at the tiny Newman cabin, a refuge for miners and prospectors on the outskirts of the Death Valley National Monument. Manson's name is still carved in the wood of one of the Newman cabin doors, along with the year he first came to this desert. After the family made their way through the almost impenetrable Goler Wash, they set up a fire here in the heart of the Myers Ranch and surveyed the austere beauty of the desert around them. One of the family girls knew of an abandoned stone house down the road, owned by an old woman named Barker. Manson, after locating Mrs. Barker in nearby Furnace Creek, convinced her that she should allow the family to live in her place in exchange for general upkeep and a gold record given to him by one of the Beach Boys. Today, the ranch is much as the family first found it, as remote an outpost as can be imagined, hidden in the vast silence of the desert. Little has changed in the kitchen where the family prepared its meals. Or in the bedroom that once was Manson's.
Now, what comes to me